Okay, YouTubers, welcome back to another video. Before I continue, please make sure to like, share and also subscribe so you don't miss anything. So in today's video, it's going to be related to two-way radios. For those of you who do not know what a radio is, go and check out my review of the Retivis RT648 radio. For those of you who do know what a radio is, then of course you know what I'm going to be talking about today shouldn't be new for you. Or probably could be. Probably because you've never researched into that depth. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the difference between PMR radios, which is what the Retivis RT648 is. Sorry, I forgot to mention. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about PMR radios, licensed radios, and what the term means in terms of business radio and professional radio. So, first of all, let's look at a PMR. Now, the PMR is private mobile radio. It basically means you're on one frequency. The radio can only access one frequency. You don't have a license for this radio, so you can just buy the radio like this. It can go up to 22 channels. It has privacy codes, CTCS tones. It can be programmable to do certain things, and overall, the whole radio sector was developed in the World War. Was it World War One or World War Two? I can't remember, but yes, it was in the World War. For those of you who might be doing history or whatever, for those of you who might have better history knowledge than me, if I'm wrong, you can put it in the comments down below if you wish. Of which world all the radios were built in, but yeah, basically, so the PMR radio, it's licensed free, no license. They go up to a certain range. Yeah, and apart from that, they are just normal radios to operate. Now let's look at the types of environment that a radio can be used in. You can go from places like commercial uses, in schools, in businesses, to general family indoor and outdoor uses, to when you're doing activities such as fishing, skiing, boating, bike riding, so forth, so on. Now, an example of a PMR radio might be the Motorola XT420. Now, this radio, when you search for the radio, it's going to come up with the term business radio, which is what I'm going to come on to soon. But first, let's just break things down. Now, it is a normal PMR radio, simple to operate. However, it's bloody expensive, obviously because of the name Motorola. Businesses nowadays, you know what they're like. So, in terms of with your radio, again, it's simple radio to operate. I don't have one myself though, but yeah, it's simple radio to operate. 16 channels. I've got 2 programmable buttons as well. Now, in terms of the build quality, I've been told when I looked at a review, it was good. It was solid. Now, this automatically tells me that this radio can be used in a professional environment. Now, this is where the business stuff starts to come in. When we say professional, in human terms, yes, we say something like good attitude, appropriate use of language, good tone of voice, good posture, good attitude, good use of language, so forth and so on. But in radio terms, it's looking at the environment that the radio can be used in. Now, when you say professional, of course, yes, this can mean indoors and outdoors, but it's also looking at the types of activities or the types of environment that the radio can be used in. So, for example, you might be using it for skiing. You might be using it for work indoors and outdoors. You might be using it on a boat. You might use it for waterproof. You name it. Let's look at the business side of it. Now, my friend Chappers, for example, if he's opened an engineering business. This is just an example. So my friend Chappers, he's opened an engineering business, a business which specialises in engineering. He's employed me as a manager, and he said to me, "Look, we need a way to communicate, and we're looking at getting something like a two-way radio." Now, Yes, okay, two-way radio. So we go on a computer, we type two-way radios, and he's looking at something like, okay, let's just go for a standard non-licensed radio, but something that's good. Then we've come up with the Retivis RT648. Now, yes, it doesn't say business, but it's a professional radio. The only thing to highlight is when it means business radio, it just says that it can be used in the business setting, but doesn't mean any business setting. First of all, look at, is your business going to be indoors or outdoors? Now, in an engineering company, of course, employees are going to go outdoors and indoors, of course, because depending on what you're specialising in, is it gas? Is it electric? Now, if you're doing gas and electric at the same time, if you're a really wealthy business, you're really big, then of course you're going to need something that's. It doesn't have to be heavy, but as long as it's got sturdy build quality, it's big, or even like a decent size, but it's designed to even suffer a drop. Because don't forget, in an engineering business, you're going to be climbing up and down. You're going to be up and about or drilling wires, pulling wires down, carrying heavy things, standing on heavy machinery. I don't know what, but almost you'll be sometimes climbing in rough terrain. And the reason why I would say the Retivis RT648 or even the XT420 could do it if it has appropriate build quality. Why? Because it's a business radio, but as long as it's got good build quality, that's the main point. Now this, the RT648, is not too heavy, but it's thick. It's really thick and big. Now if I was to drop this on the floor, it wouldn't damage because it's designed. It's designed to be used in a professional setting. Doesn't have to say business on it, but the important thing is whenever you buy a business radio, you need to look at what business you are working in. If your business is indoors and outdoors, then yes, this will meet in both sectors. Whether it's engineering or if you just want something cheap to buy, as long as the radio does what you require it to do. But if you are in a business that involves rough work, then yes, even if as long if even that's cheap, make sure the build quality is good or fantastic actually. Now, for something like a business that is just a standard shopping centre, that's an indoor business. You want something like this. If you just want something to pick up and use, or if we just want a standard cheap PMR radio, something like this, the RT24 would work perfectly. It's a medium-sized radio. It's not too big, not too small. It's a middle-sized radio. Very lightweight. It's got a good build quality. It's thick. And this can be used indoors, whether it comes to shopping centres, if you're inside a school even, if you're working in a library. I suppose if you're doing security indoors as well, why not? But that's if you're looking at a PMR radio, but I wouldn't recommend this for security because I think security is a highly important job, and I think it's a job with high risks and important factors, so maybe not security. But yeah, something like if you're in an indoor school, or if you're inside a general shopping centre, yes, this could be for you. You can use this outdoors, but on what condition? As long as you know the weather, you're 100% sure that the weather is going to be dry all day. Whereas the 648 can cope in both conditions, good and bad, because it's IP67 rated. Now, I don't know what the highest IP is. Is it 69 or 68? I don't know. I'm assuming it's 69. For those of you who do know, you could put them in the comments down below if you want. But the 6, if I'm not wrong, is how floatable it is, and the 7 is how long it can last for. Now, from my understanding, I think the RT648 can last from over an hour or two, or up to half an hour, I can't remember. But yeah, for those of you who understand the IP rating better than I do, you can put them in the comments down. You can put it in the comments down below if you want. So yeah, that's it really. But again, if you're looking at the privacy side of things, you won't get that on these radios. And if you want something with good build quality and privacy tones, then you might need to look around a bit more, or might need to look at another Retivis radio. Now, let's look at the licensed. Well, sorry, yeah, before we do look at the license, does it just, like I said, for the PMR, the nice thing is though, it can be used in business or just general family use. So that's a nice flexibility with PMR. Now let's look at licensed. Licensed radios, they can have an output power up to 10 watts, unlike the license free, which can't go above 0.5 of a watt. So what makes a licensed radio a lot more expensive? Licensed radios, their output power is much more than a standard PMR radio, or a normal PMR radio, just the whole PMR sector actually overall. Why? Because they can go from 1 watt to 5 watts to 10 watts, you name it, or even 2. You can have 2 watts and 5 watts, probably 3 watts, from 1 to 10 basically. Like the RT1 has an output power of 10 watts. Now that means that the output power, so when you're talking to it, the audio quality is more clearer and much, much louder than a PMR radio. The PMR radio's audio quality is clear, it's loud, but when you're looking at something that's a radio that's a licensed radio with over 1 watt's power, 2 watts power, it's much louder and much more clearer. Now, what makes this slight thing a difference is, yes, you can use it for personal use as long as you and your friend have got a license. But when you're in a business setting, then you have to have a license to show that you are using these radios for commercial purposes. Now, I'm not quite sure here how that's going to stop people from messing around and interfering, because yes, you might catch frequencies now and again, but if you are going to go for proper licensed radios, my advice is don't go for something that's just simple to turn on and operate. Get something that's going to offer you the privacy codes and the CCCS codes, because when you're in commercial use, you don't want anything to go wrong, because I think when you're in commercial settings, it's high risk. But you wouldn't get too much problems on radios. I mean, I've not had any on the PMR even, so it's nothing too much to worry about. But again, that's up to you guys whether you're worried about it or not, as a business or just for personal use, whether it bothers you or not. But yeah, that's all it is. And I have something like the Baofeng UV5R, the RT AC5, the Motorola XD1000, DP1400. They would all be licensed radios. Of course, yes, some licensed radios are heavy, they've got a good build quality, but apart from that, also with a license, you have access to more than one frequency. Something like about 5 frequencies or different frequency bands. Of course, both sets of radios can come in digital and analog. I think the PMR can, but I know the licensed radios do. But apart from that, relatively, there's nothing really else to it. So there you go, guys. That was today's video on PMR, licensed and business radios. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to like, share and also subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. But I'll see you in the next video.
Take unless zip 1 4 stop it.